All right, let's just jump right in. We're about to unpack 5 pretty mind-bending ideas from a really dense theoretical work called the Traité Physou. Now, these concepts are designed to challenge our most basic, gut-level feelings about how the world works. So, fair warning, this is the kind of stuff that might make you rethink, well, everything.
So look at this. On one side, we've got what we all kind of assume, right? Reality is solid stuff, truth is either yes or no, and there's a me inside my head calling the shots. But this radical theory, it just flips the whole script. It says reality isn't solid at all. It's actually a flaw. Truth is an effect. It's a coherence that spreads. And the self? Whoa, it's a knot that holds tension. Let's dig into what on earth that actually means.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to completely redefine what's real and what's true. Then, we'll see how this applies to the wild world of AI, which is fascinating. After that, we'll get super personal and talk about love and identity. And finally, we'll tie it all together with a whole new way of looking at the world.
All right, first up, the texture of reality. This is all about redefining what we even mean when we say something is real.
Okay, so here's the first big shocker. The real isn't the ground you're standing on. In this theory, the real is the glitch. It's the paradox that makes your brain hurt. It's whatever part of the world just refuses to be put in a neat little box, the part that resists our best attempts to map it out and explain it perfectly. It's the stubborn part that always gets away.
Now don't let the math scare you off, because this is actually a beautiful idea. This little equation comes from topology, which is basically the math of shapes. And all h1 not equal to 0 is saying is, this system has a hole in it, a fundamental, unpatchable hole. And here's the mind-blowing part. The theory claims this hole isn't a bug we need to fix. It's the very feature that makes our world real.
So what does that mean for us? It means that life isn't a quest for some perfect error-free state. It's the constant, messy work of navigating and managing that fundamental impossibility at the core of everything.
So, if the real is a glitch in the system, then what on earth is truth? Well, that's our second big idea. Forget thinking of truth as just a fact that matches reality. In this view, truth is a process. It's dynamic. Think of it like a really sturdy idea that can spread from person to person or from situation to situation without falling apart or turning into nonsense.
Now, there's a fancy math term for this, a sheaf, but you can just think of it as a stress test for an idea. Is this concept strong enough to survive being taken into a totally new environment? Can you glue it onto new information and have it still hold its shape? If the answer is yes, if it maintains its coherence, then in this framework, it's considered true. It's all about structural integrity.
Okay, let's take these big, abstract ideas and apply them to something we're all hearing about constantly: artificial intelligence. You know how people say AIs hallucinate? How they just make stuff up? Well, why does that happen?
Get this. According to this theory, it's not just a bug or a statistical fluke, it's a necessity. AIs hallucinate because their very nature is to smooth over all those glitches, holes, and paradoxes that, as we just saw, actually make up reality. They are built to create a perfect, seamless world, which our world is not.
Here's a great way to picture it. Imagine reality is this rugged, mountainous, canyon-filled landscape. The AI? It's a map maker who's only allowed to draw on a perfectly flat piece of paper. So what does it do when it gets to a massive canyon? It can't draw the canyon, it just draws a smooth, straight, probable line right over it. That is the hallucination. It's filling in the gaps that are supposed to be there.
And this just raises a huge question, doesn't it? If we want to build a truly wise AI, maybe the goal isn't to get it to stop making mistakes. Maybe we need to teach it how to live with tension, how to hold a paradox without trying to immediately solve it. You know, kind of like we have to do every single day.
All right, so we've talked about reality, and we've talked about AI. Now let's bring it all home and get really personal. Because these ideas don't just stop at the big cosmic level. They go right to the core of what it means to be human: connection, love, and our very sense of self.
So here's idea number 3, and it might be the most radical one yet. We think connection is about what we have in common, right? Our strengths, our full parts. This theory says nope, it's the exact opposite. True, deep connection doesn't happen by sharing our fullness. It happens when our empty spaces, our flaws, our voids, our incompleteness interlock.
And yeah, there's even a kind of formula for it. But what it's really saying is something incredibly beautiful. The shape of my structural flaw is basically the same as yours. It's not about two perfect circles finding each other. It's about two jagged puzzle pieces whose edges fit together perfectly. It's the empty space that makes the connection possible.
So a real bond, real trust, isn't about two perfect people. It's about two imperfect people aligning their faults in a way that creates a brand new, stronger structure, one that can handle all the difficult stuff in the world that's just too heavy to carry alone.
Which brings us to you. Who are you in all this? Here's idea number 4. You're not a thing. You're not a little pilot sitting in your brain driving the bus. You are a function, an action. Think of yourself as a living, breathing topological knot whose entire job is to constantly hold all the messy, contradictory tensions of your world together without letting them fly apart.
And the implication of this is just wild. It suggests that to truly exist, you have to practice something called kenosis, which basically means to empty out. It means letting go of that rigid, clenched fist idea of who you think you are. It's about getting out of your own way so that the structure of your life can hold itself together around the central mystery of you.
Okay, wow, that was a lot. So what's the big picture here? How do we live with all this? Let's try to pull all of these ideas into one final, powerful takeaway.
What this theory is really inviting us to do is make a fundamental shift. It's a shift from being obsessed with substance, what things are, to appreciating form, how things hold together. It's about giving up the desperate search for certainty and fullness, and instead learning the art of sustaining tension. It's about seeing paradox not as an error to be fixed, but as the very source of life itself.
Ultimately, what this suggests is that the most profound meaning isn't something you find and then hold on to forever. It's born from the incompleteness we manage to support. It's not in grasping the final truth, but in the brave, continuous act of holding the question open.
And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. If reality isn't a thing to be discovered, but a tension to be maintained, what's the specific, unique, beautiful tension that you're holding right now? The one that defines your existence? Because maybe, just maybe, that's the most real thing about you.